The Brewhouse was created to capture and share with you the long history of the Genesee Brewery. But the brewery itself isn't half as interesting as the beer and the people who make it. Visit GeneseeBrewhouse.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. I'm Bill Pucko, and it is a pleasure to be joined again by J.C. DeLass, who is about to become a very busy man.
Absolutely, coming up here, basketball season, believe it or not, 2 weeks away. Early November we start, and then ride that roller coaster till November.
So we're doubling up with the football and the college basketball, which we'll get to in just a moment. Mike Catalana co-hosting here, along with Pat Duffy, wearing?
It is in my humble opinion, the best jersey sweater the Sabres have ever worn, the Butter Knives. Amherst legend, Sabres legend, Eric Bolton. Also Atlanta Thrasher for a little while. Fun fact there, Mikey.
You like that?
How do you not like this sweater? It's red. He's got the goat head on the shoulder. You got the butter knife. It says Buffalo underneath. Remember when Steve Hines wore number 57 and he looked like a ketchup bottle?
How long were they in those?
2 seasons? 3 seasons?
Too long, and you said humble opinion, which is kind of funny.
Next to a legend like you, Mike.
JC, let's talk a little bit about college sports, local college sports, sort of your wheelhouse. We've got a team worth looking at here, don't we?
I think we do. Head out to the college at Brockport. This is a national contender in football. They're undefeated. They're killing everybody. First of all, I mean, every score, 65-7 and 52-0. I like Jason Mangoni, terrific coach. More importantly, he's getting the players. It's the old coach's adage. It's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and Joes. At Brockport has got a bunch of Jimmies and Joes. They have a Joe who plays quarterback. He's a transfer from University at Albany. And that's what they do. They get those 1AA, what we used to call 1AA kids. They get them, but they also get some homegrown. They get the best of the local talent. I really like what Brockport has done. They were a Final Four team last year. This year, I think they could take it another step, get to that national championship game.
Yeah.
There's no doubt their games are entertaining. They drew a little bit better this last week. I think they had about 3,500. And, for our purposes, when our guys are going out or we're going to get highlights of the game, let's go to Brockport for about 10 minutes. You're going to get a few touchdowns. And defensively, I think, if I'm not mistaken, teams are negative yardage rushing against them this year. Negative for the season. So I know they're ahead a lot, but that's pretty impressive.
I like the fact that they provide local kids opportunities to play.
Well, and that's just it. And I think the reason that not only Brockport, but St. John Fisher has been really good recently, like they're consistently good teams, is you see these kids from local programs, both with basketball, football, boys, girls, all this stuff, now starting to get scholarships to major Division I programs. But that also means the entire programs they're playing in are getting better. So those kids that are getting better locally are going to your Brockports and your St. John Fisher colleges and your SUNY Geneseos and things like that to play sports, which is helping make these programs better, which is great because, it gives the opportunity for their friends and family to watch them play. They get to extend their athletic career a little bit, and it's great for the community.
Yeah, how good is it? How good is D3?
I think it's very good. I think it's gotten better because you're getting some of those kids who used to skip Division III and go try to be the 1AA player. Maybe they weren't quite good enough to play at Division I, Syracuse, or some of the bigger name programs. A lot of those kids now are staying Division III because they know, first of all, they're going to get a great education. It's going to be affordable, but they're going to play. I mean, a lot of these kids figured out early on, I can go to 1AA and sit for a year or two. How about starting day one in a Division III program? Kids want to play. That's what the opportunity is there for
And
them.
before we stray too far as we approach basketball season, give me a team or two maybe is worth paying some attention to.
On men's basketball, University of Rochester, they've got everybody. They got everybody back, so they're going to be very good, but watch out for Nazareth, guys. I'm going to tell you something. Not only did they bring everybody back, but they added some pieces, too. I really think U of R and Nazareth have a great opportunity to not only be two of the best in this area, they're going to be two of the best in the East region, and we may be talking about one of those teams making a deep run in this year's Division III tournament.
Very nice. This is the Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. We talk Buffalo Bills next. The Press Box is brought to you in part by Bay & Goodman Pizza, a local Rochester favorite. Corner of North Winton and Browncroft, Bay & Goodman Pizza. Welcome back. This is the Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. Mike, I'm trying to think. It's like the guys are taking a lot of heat. McDermott and Bean.
Yep.
Oh, and you and I stuck by them a long time. I keep thinking somehow in the back of my mind they're a victim of circumstance here, with McCarron being the main culprit.
Nope, not giving him that at all.
Not going to help, huh?
No. There's a hyena entered the room. I won't give him that. I won't give him that. I said to you, I like a lot of what they had done in order to get some stability with the franchise. My concern has always been about figuring out the quarterbacks. If the circumstances were McCarron was injured, like you go back to the Kevin Cobb days, okay, that's tougher. Now you're going with the other guys. No.
What isn't injured and being horrible kind of the same thing?
No, because Mike's not injured right now. I guess the difference is this.
Just like that.
They put themselves in this circumstance.
100%.
I mean, Mike, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
No,
there. But
you're right. You're 100% right. They put themselves in this circumstance. When you now look back at it, they started the season with Josh Allen and Nate Peterman. And look, I think they were unfair to Peterman in this sense. You had enough faith in him that not only did you get rid of McCarron, you started him, and then you benched him at halftime of the first game and then got him off the field. So you already were halfway there to pulling the plug on him, which means Allen's going to start, which means you didn't have faith in Peterman, which means you didn't have a backup plan. And if I hear Sean McDermott say, be great to learn from a veteran, I agree with him. Where was that veteran in March, April, May, all the way through? They have handled the quarterback position as poorly as you could possibly handle it. And the only injury was to Josh Allen, and he was already playing, and hopefully he'll be back. I have nobody to blame but themselves.
Look at Derek Anderson. I think right now he's walking around like that Fred Willard character in the movie where he goes, what happened? Because he thought he was going to carry the clipboard, wear the baseball cap, and cash the checks. And now we're asking him, the Bills are asking him to do things he's not physically capable. How many times did he check down in that game? 20, 25?
Well, hold on.
All he could do is check down.
In his defense there, though, you learned the offense 11 days before. I can't blame Derek Anderson, and he threw for over what Bills quarterbacks were throwing on average. They were averaging 125 yards passing a game. He threw for 175. And how about this fun fact for you? You ready for this? Without garbage time, even though they were in garbage time, there was no garbage yardage because they were still playing defense, the Colts. It's the first time this season the Bills gained over 300 yards of offense.
Yeah, that's more of an indictment on the entire Bills team. I don't blame Anderson, I don't blame Allen, and I don't even blame Peterman. I blame the coaching staff and Brandon Beane. They did a terrible job.
But you didn't say McCarron.
No, I don't blame McCarron.
What did McCarron do? He competed
played,
for a job.
He wasn't the guy they thought they were signing.
No, they weren't. He was actually, because they got him late in the second day of free
Bill,
agency.
To your point, that's specific to McCarron. If you didn't like McCarron, go get another guy then. Go get somebody then if you're that concerned.
That where it went wrong? I'm trying to pinpoint.
No.
Where was the biggest mistake
Here's the biggest mistake. You ready? Free agency opened on day one, and an hour went by and they didn't sign a quarterback. And 5 hours went by and they didn't sign a quarterback. And 15 hours. And at that point, it became very apparent, and I said it on this show multiple times, that they were going to go with Peterman, and whoever fell to them was going to be their, quote, insurance policy to compete with Peterman.
That's exactly what happened.
They stacked the deck for Nate Peterman to win because for some reason McDermott has all the faith in the world in this kid.
It has hurt him from the beginning of his time in Buffalo. He drafted Nate Peterman. He played him when he should not have played him, and then obviously had to bench him last year. Then had enough faith to not look for another veteran quarterback outside of McCarron, dumps McCarron, and Peterman's career is ruined. And it's not all his fault. He's played horribly. He was on the field way before he should have been, and certainly before he should have been as a starter.
And what's even funnier now that McDermott is being held accountable for these mistakes that he made, he's not so fun anymore. He can't handle criticism, he's a control freak, and he made a huge mistake in what he did, and you're in your bed. Sleep in your bed now, bro.
JC's 13.5 is the line on Monday night with the Patriots visiting Buffalo. It would be a good time anyway, but pick that game for me.
It's not enough, Billy. It's not enough. My prediction, not only Patriots cover, but I think Tom Brady will be wearing the cap in the fourth quarter. He's got to have the helmet off. He's not even going to have to finish this game. I mean, I think this will be a game you're going to get the Patriots backup quarterback in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be that ugly. And just a quick sidebar, I'm not absolving the quarterbacks, but who do they have to throw to? I mean, we cannot just go past the fact there's nobody in this receiver core that's worth keeping around. They have nobody to throw to. And maybe Daboll, the offensive coordinator, should get a little bit of heat here too. I don't know what the plan is.
Got a second game?
You know what? I like the Colts, believe it or not, next week or this week when they're going to the Raiders. The Raiders may be a bigger mess than the Bills right now, and that's saying something. I think the Colts can actually cover that spread on the road at the Raiders.
You got a couple you like?
The Patriots are going to win the game outright, obviously, and they're going to win it big because they enjoy doing that to Buffalo. I mean, Brady, seriously, you usually don't see him do that, the whole in the phone, hey, Bills Mafia thing that he did. They're coming in, Monday Night Football. I think the Bills defense will play much better than they did against the Colts. They just don't have the offense to keep up with New England. I think New England wins it handily and covers. And in the other game, I've been so bad picking this, I'll pick my own team. The Eagles choked a game away against Carolina. They'll go to London and beat Jacksonville this week and cover the spread.
I'll take the Panthers +2 playing the Ravens at home. I'll take the Bills because I don't know. How does the line just stay at 13.5?
And I'm with you there. All right, bit of history for you. Tom Brady's lost twice in Orchard Park. One where he took that wicked sack or shot from Nate Clemens. The second one is when he insulted Buffalo right before he came.
At the hotel,
Yes,
right?
he asked him what hotel his dad was going to stay in, and he laughed about it. Whenever Tom Brady kind of steps out on the Bills and then shows up in Orchard Park, things don't go well for him. I have a weird feeling. I don't know if the Bills beat him outright, but I don't think this defense has back-to-back horrible performances like they do, and I think Derek Anderson is better this week because his body is still kind of there, and he's going to know the offense better. I think they were able to keep up, and I don't know why, but I have a feeling the Bills are going to cover this game Monday night. Second game, Packers 7-point dogs against the Rams in Los Angeles. How do you make Aaron Rodgers a 7-point underdog? I don't care who you're playing. Packers cover that easy.
Didn't you say that's biggest in his career?
Biggest career when Aaron Rodgers is healthy playing in a game to be that big of an underdog.
This is the Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. Like it or not, is next. Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Here's the Press Box trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. This is the Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. Like it or not, the NFL trade deadline.
You know, it's always been like this big, what's going to happen, and then nothing really happens. And it's funny, in recent history, the NFL trade deadline has been a disaster for teams that are acquiring big-name talent. Let's talk in the last 12 years. You had Carson Palmer move at the deadline from the Bengals to the Raiders, first and a third-round pick. He plays 2 seasons there, complete disaster. Roy Williams going from the Detroit Lions to the Dallas Cowboys. That was a first, third, and fifth, I believe. That was a complete disaster. The only team that I can remember of the last 12, 15 years that benefited on a trade deadline deal, the Seattle Seahawks, when they got Marshawn Lynch for a 4th and a 5th round pick from the Buffalo Bills. That's really, Mike, can you think of another deal?
Look, I'll be a little provincial here. Jay Ajayi really helped the Eagles. They got him last year. They end up winning the Super Bowl, and they miss him a ton this year. But to your point, picks where you're trading 4th and 5th rounders, not 1st and 2nd rounders, is when it usually works out pretty well.
This used to be a dead day, though. This is like welcome to the party. It used to be all baseball and basketball trade deadlines.
Money
and stuff.
is usually involved too, because when it's a guy who's made a lot or is going to be a free agent, they get rid of him.
I think you're seeing it earlier, too. The teams have been very active in the month of October. We've already seen a bunch of deals. And if I can go even farther back in history, how about the Cornelius Bennett deal for the Buffalo Bills? That was another draft or deadline type deal. I think teams aren't waiting until the deadline anymore. I mean, I think they're moving faster. They're making their moves in October when they see an opportunity. Hey, we see it with the Giants. They're getting rid of everybody except for Eli. They got rid of an Eli, just not the right Eli. Man.
Yeah. Hey, is Dallas any better than they were at the start of last week?
Well, he's a better player for them, but that is a big risk, giving up a #1 pick for a team.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah, Amari Cooper is a talented player, but they gave up that pick. And now they don't have I would assume Dallas is working on a long-term deal with Cooper. They gave him a lot of leverage here, especially if he plays well. But it is still a risk when you're a team hovering on 500 to give up a #1 pick for next year.
But how funny is it? We just bring up that Roy Williams trade. Big receiver, really fast. We can't do that stupid thing again. And they trade a first-round pick for Amari Cooper.
It's the one it's compared with. Do the Bills do anything?
I think they're obviously sellers. If anybody is gone by the time this airs, it'll be just because they're dumping contracts.
And you're at a huge disadvantage. Everybody stops playing Sunday. You play Monday night. The trade deadline ends 8 hours after you get off the field. You don't know what your players are going to look like.
I guess we could see if somebody's inactive for Monday night, then we might know they're being dealt.
The one tradable guy was LaShawn McCoy, and he's in concussion protocol. You're not going to be able to deal him now.
This is the Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. Unfinished Business is next. And now here's this week's MVP Experience Stat of the Week, brought to you by Sport Clips, where it's good to be a guy. No appointment ever needed.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Bacon, egg, cheese. Only one way to make this better. Another one. Dunkin' Go-Tos. Get 2 bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches for $5. America runs on Dunkin'.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. This is the Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. Unfinished Business, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Pat.
Earlier this week, nephew of Jim Kelly, his name's Chad Kelly, went to Ole Miss, was at Clemson before that, JUCO star on Netflix. Long story short, he was Mr. Irrelevant last year, last pick of the draft, drafted by the Denver Broncos. He's no longer a Denver Bronco because he was arrested after incoherently walking into a stranger's home at 1:30 in the morning in suburban Denver, dressed as a cowboy, in which case he was beaten with a hose from a vacuum cleaner to leave. That's all a true story. All right. Now, the kid's had his problems in the past. He was arrested in Buffalo. He got in an on-field fight at his younger brother's high school football game while he was in college. There's been rumors of substance abuse problems, all of these things. His uncle vouched for him. Elway takes him. Now that is no more. The reason I give you this entire background is we just talked at length a little while ago about the Bills' quarterback situation and how you need a spark, something that's low risk and high reward to get you going. Now, the Bills aren't going to sign Chad Kelly. In fact, no other NFL team might sign Chad Kelly. This might be his last stop for superstardom, but the Bills should. And I'm not talking Chad Kelly in general. I'm talking risks on anybody. What was the quote from earlier this month? Character over strategy, whatever it was, where McDermott cares more about what the guys do off the field than they do on the field. I had said 2 years ago when McDermott made his initial comments, you can't win with choir boys. Well, they have some team, they have guys on the team that aren't choir boys. They're not winning now. Take a risk. I wouldn't be upset if the Bills signed Chad Kelly. And maybe they should look into someone like him if it means you're going to add talent to this team.
Would it make him any better?
Could it make him worse?
Chad Kelly has gotten in trouble in Buffalo in his high school team, in college at Clemson, and now in the NFL. If there's any chance a guy like him comes in, it's got to be in the offseason after he gets himself settled. Certainly not to do it now.
My friend.
He said, "My real name is Joe, and I've been living with leukemia for 11 years. And with that, WWE superstar Roman Reigns really shocked not just pro wrestling fans, but really everybody. I mean, it blew up on Twitter. And this is a guy, if you don't follow pro wrestling, he is one of the biggest stars in the WWE. And for him to come out and drop that curtain, drop that facade, and let people know what he's really going through. He's going to have to step aside. He gave up the title. That's all secondary. The fact that he was talking about leukemia, which my understanding is over 400,000 people currently living with leukemia right now. And to put a big-name star, put a face on this disease in the fight, it's got to help in terms of funding. It's got to help in terms of the publicity and getting more people to know about leukemia. I thought this was an incredibly courageous thing to do. No, it wasn't Lou Gehrig at Yankee Stadium, I'm the luckiest man alive stuff, but I still thought it was pretty cool that Roman Reigns, Joe, did that on national television, and hopefully he will come back from leukemia. It's his second bout with it. Hopefully he'll be able to come back and again be back in the pro wrestling ring.
Very good.
As Pat reminds me all the time, I'm old and I've been around a long time. My first game covering the Bills in the NFL was Thurman Thomas's first game. And one of my memories of that was Thurman was really good, coming in as a second-round pick. And secondly, Leon Seals, one of the players on the team, referred to him as Thurman Thompson. Well, we certainly all now know it's Thurman Thomas. And on Monday night, he's going to get his number retired. Big ceremony. He's already a Hall of Famer. And Thurman was great. Thurman really was the guy that made that offense go. Jim Kelly, Hall of Famer. Andre Reed, Hall of Famer. Great offensive line, but Thurman was something. And I was thinking about the new eras and the different times in pro football and all the different things that work. Thurman would work right now, too, wouldn't he? I don't mean the current man, Thurman Thomas. He's my age. But at the same time, I mean the type of player, the dynamic player, the guy who can catch passes, block, do everything. Thurman was always a little underrated, and it always bugged him when he played because he had guys like Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith around him. But you would have to go a long way to find a better all-around football player than Thurman Thomas, and he'll have a big night on Monday.
So what, you were hosting, or you got Thurman Thomas, you're covering him. I was hosting the Leon Seals show.
Oh, wow. You should have asked him about it.
Very short-lived program.
Both of you guys are super old.
This is the Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brewhouse. Unfinished Business is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. JC, thanks. A lot of good contributions here today, guys.
Always happy.
As always.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.